Okay, everyone, welcome to this weekly call of the Love Movement candidates, the Beacons. So it's a discussion forum for anyone who wants to show up, just to check in and tune in and see where we're at. So we always start with these sessions with a little bit of an alignment, and I have a little reading that I'd like to do, and I'm going to host this week. So it's always good just to land fully in the space with these meetings, to kind of come out of whatever we were doing and rushing around this morning, and take our mind out of what's happening this afternoon and everything we need to get done, and just to fully be in the present moment. And it's very good to do that through 3 long deep breaths in through the nose and blowing out slowly over the bottom lip. And while you're taking those breaths, just consciously dropping from mind into the heart, into the body, feeling the support of the earth beneath your feet, the floor beneath your feet, feeling the support of your chair underneath your sitting bones, and just dropping into the space fully, so that we can be fully in the present moment where all of the power is. So I'm going to do just a little reading which I felt was appropriate, and this is part of the Song of Hiawatha by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. O my children, my poor children, listen to the words of wisdom, listen to the words of warning from the lips of the Great Spirit, from the Master of Life who made you. I have given you lands to hunt in, I have given you streams to fish in, I have given you bear and bison, I have given you roe and reindeer, I have given you brant and beaver, filled the marshes full of wildfowl, filled the rivers full of fishes. Why then are you not contented? Why then will you hunt each other? I am weary of your quarrels, weary of your wars and bloodshed, weary of your prayers for vengeance, of your wranglings and dissensions. All your strength is in your union, all your danger is in discord. Therefore be at peace henceforward, and as brothers live together. Just thought I'd read that as a little opening, because I did a video yesterday just about the insanity and intensity of everything that's unfolding. I feel it's designed, personally, I feel it's designed to pull us out of our center and create maximum fear and dissonance. Joe, I think you were saying something earlier. You might want to share about what you were saying earlier. I won't say it, but I just feel that at every level, the system is trying to create maximum fear, dissonance, anger, stress, anxiety, deliberately. And it's the false matrix trying to grip in energetically ever tighter, as we loosen its grip through everything that we're doing, through joy and laughter and resonance and singing and mantras and visioning the future we do want, and co-creating and creating alternative future realities and systems and possibilities. And it's like they're desperately trying to pull the carpet from our feet. So that's my little intro. And we'll just go around the group. So Joanne, would you like to start?
Yes, I would just say I felt today, particularly for some reason, I had from the Southern Waters emergency in case of emergencies. I mean, they've never done it before, and the stupid names they call these storms, and it's very irritating, frustrating. I would say I don't think I'm angry. I just get frustrated and irritated. It seems that way, and obviously the fear and the anxiety they're trying to throw at everyone. I'm thinking, oh, go away, yeah, whatever. And that gets me really. I've not got fear as such. We all must have a bit, but I thought, no, you're all a load of, and why can't people see it? That's basically how I'm feeling today. But I'll be fine.
Cool. And anything unfolding in your locality and with what you're doing? And
we went out yesterday to a birthday party, and because we were all talking of what's going on, and it was quite nice to get people who know everything that's happening. but you're also getting that kind of negative and you know how it makes you feel a little bit. It's good, but yet it really frustrates you too. So that probably did something last night. That was lovely. And yeah, just things trigger you, which they shouldn't. You know, I say like the Southern Water email, and they just it's you shouldn't. I know it's not. It's so difficult sometimes to not. When you look at the stupid headlines, briefly, I look on. It comes up in the feed. I just look at the widgets or whatever, and there is so much ridiculous things, as we know. And I guess we need to get past that and just laugh at it. It's, you know, and think, oh, ridiculous. It's too ridiculous to be, you know, any normal human, sane person would believe. Yeah, I don't know. But that's just my take. Sorry, I don't know what else really. But yeah, we need to do exactly grounded, which I don't know enough about because I haven't meditated very much. And as I say, I think Lynn, I think someone said it's a good idea to ask you about any, you know, video, anything I can watch, because I find it fascinating, but I really am at a loss with it all. I have feelings of, I know I resonate with all you say, but I've not really, you know, looked at it in great depth.
Yeah. Well, we'll come around the group and then maybe Lynn can pick up on that when we get to her. So let's come to you next, Roger.
Okay, let's see if I'm
What have you got to report?
Well, I really just want to ask a couple of questions. Here where I am now in York, the only people I'm in touch with regularly are members of the Community Assembly, which is John Gilbert's organisation.
Yeah.
Very, very honourable man. I think I've met him. So I rely on them to help me with everything that I'm doing, you know, activatingly. So how can I describe my relationship with that organization? You know, can I say we're affiliated to them? You know, because I can't really attract the help of these people unless I can make a bridge between the Love Party and John Gilbert.
Well, I'm sure Lynn will have some comments on this, but the love movement is liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment, which really embraces everyone who has those values, really. So, but anyway, let's Lynn answer that in a sec. But complete your share, Roger. Anything else you want to ask or?
Well, I also wanted confirmation about the website name. Is it still Love Party?
So there's two website names, vote-love.co.uk and love-party.co.uk. So we've been using publicly vote-love.co.uk, but at the moment it then goes back through to love-party because the website was set up as that. So it is possible to change it, but it's not simple to change it, but we do own both. So I will get on to Charlie and get him to change that to Vote Love, if he can.
Because I'm getting things printed. I'm going to get some business card style things printed, and I need to
use vote-love.co.uk.
Just a minute, let me write that down.
It's on the Telegram group. I'm pretty sure we changed it to that.
Well, I'm going to write it down anyway. Just say that again, please.
Well, I need to check it myself to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's vote-love.co.uk.
Is that small case?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's oh no. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll change that. Yeah, and I agree. We need to actually change everything to vote-love across all platforms because it's to get it all up to date, because really that's the message. And when we say vote love, we mean vote liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment, basically.
Okay, just tell
Anyone
me.
who stands for those values,
Yeah,
like
tell me the name again, because my attention span is very, very short. So it's vote-love.co.uk.
.co.uk.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to be putting on my publicity material.
Yeah, it does work, but it would be tidier for us to make align to that on everything for sure.
You know, but I mean, obviously, I'd like to see, love movement, instead of all that.
Well, vote love. I promise you, vote love is a very strong strap line. Vote love.
Yeah.
Di actually thought of that, didn't she, Lynn?
Yeah. So you don't think there's any value in saying vote love movement?
Vote love. Keep it. The simpler, the better. It's like just do it, or I'm loving it, or
Yeah. Okay.
vote love. It's very strong.
Yeah, this is the sign which I'm going to be carrying around York. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Bit new.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes. Love it.
I need to adjust the telephone.
That's fine. We can see it.
Okay. So love movement is in smaller print than I wanted. But anyway, I'm going to put that on the reverse side. So this is going to be printed double side on my cards. And I've decided that I'm going to use cards rather than, A4 sheets. I can use the A4 sheets with information on at a later stage, but I feel that this is a better way to gently get people's attention. Is just, because if you give them an A4 with loads of information on, they just leave it on the table, but because it just seems too overwhelming for them. So I think, just to draw their attention and then give them a small card is going to produce better results, and then give them the more comprehensive information later, after they hopefully contact me by telephone and or a telephone or email. That's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah. Okay, Roger. Is your share complete? We can come back to you, obviously.
Well, if I think of anything, I'll put my hand up, because I don't always think of everything
All
immediately.
right. Okay, let's come to Lynn then. This is just a check-in with everyone.
Yeah. So yes, hello. You cut out a bit there. Everything froze at some point, so I missed a little bit of Roger's at the start. But anyway, I met Roger and Simon in person, which is nice. I mean, the Oxford, that area of Oxford. Oh my God, it's just appalling. And like I say, driving around it, very difficult. I've probably got a load of tickets for violations because I had no idea what it meant.
You mean, is this the 15-minute city? Is it in place
Yeah,
already?
we went down to that, didn't we? And we, listened to Dolores Carhill, and while she's obviously a very brilliant lady, I find her difficult to follow because she does weave. She goes off onto lots of different threads, and I'd love to hear. I sort of need to listen to her over a day so that she can get everything out, and then I can organise which sections her ideas belong to, but because she'll start off on one thing and then talk about her childhood and then talk about something else and then talk about she's so I want to ask if those Tuesday meetings are still happening, Roger. I can't believe it's Thursday.
I don't know. I'm going to check in, and
right.
That's all I can say, really. I could I could get in touch with some people who are in Oxford on the ground. I've got some email. There's one lady there whom I made contact with who seems quite efficient, called Jane. So I can get in touch with Jane, and then when I know if the Tuesday meetings are still happening, I'll let you know.
Okay. So yes, so the main point was meeting up physically, but yeah, I can't say I really learned anything particularly new, because it all started late. It was a bit chaotic, and I had to leave after the first session. So, but always good to catch up with real people, isn't it? So there's people everywhere that are looking at trying to sort of rebuild and take the top down and bring the bottom up, which is what it's all about. So yeah, the love movement thing. I think vote love. It's if we can try and get away from it being so. I think because in our minds, when we started off, we sort of went down the electoral commission route, and so it sounds a bit political, but actually, take the politics out of it, take anything to do with the election out of it, and it's basically like just vote love, vote for yourself, vote for peace on earth. But yeah, vote love, and because we all want that, let's just say yes to love. Keep the word love is really powerful because of the vibration. It's an incredible word, and it's one of the ones that was used in the experiment when people were freezing crystals, and they froze one with love and one with hate, and found that love produced these wonderful patterns, and hate produced these very dissonant, disorganized patterns. So just the vibration of the word is enough, actually. And then you've got what we've made it stand for, which umbrellas: liberation, opportunity, vitality, and empowerment. But it all does come under this umbrella of love. So while we now class ourselves as a love movement, I have no problem with us also being a love party, not in a political sense, just having a great big party of love, we're just enjoying it and reveling in it. We can just take the politics right out of it. We can completely take the sting out of that if we, just by talking about it in the correct way. So how do we bridge between us and other organizations? I think we just say that we will back them. We are behind any sort of local initiative that builds up from the bottom or wants to pattern interrupt from the top down. So anything that helps to rebuild the communities and get rid of the shit show at the top. So that's sort of our role. If they're going to put somebody forward and they're good people, and you'll know this, Roger, because you're local and you get around and you talk to people. So if you sense that this is a very good person that we would be very happy to represent us on councils, Westminster, whatever, then just tell them we'll endorse them. We'll help, put them on our website, put them on there. It doesn't cost anything to join now. So, we'll put it out there with our own promotions. It'll just be another way for them to promote themselves, and we will work together. And I think that's how we do it now, that we're wanting to bring this heart-based, love-based philosophy into everything and connect people up and help support them where we can. We've got people here with incredible skills, and it's another platform on which we can share them. So yeah, that would be my view, that we're the not political wing, because we're not really, but it's a bit like that, isn't it? That, yes, we will support all the local initiatives, but we're also going to stand for elections. We're going to go for it from both ends: build up, bring down. Is what I think. And Joe, the last thing I heard was I would start with Joe Dispenza. I just think he's a really good starting point, because he's a really good bridge between the science and the spirituality. It's a fantastic way to start. And a lot of his stuff is now free on YouTube. So you can I think you can now get You Are the Placebo and Becoming Supernatural, which are two of his big best-selling books before all this kicked off. he was selling millions of copies. He earned his millions that way. And I would start with that. And he does some good meditations as well. They're a bit unusual. Most people have very gentle meditations with soothing talk. Joe Dispenza will order you into a supernatural state, which is quite an interesting take, but it does work. I can't use him all the time. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood to hear him command me. But other times I think that's exactly what I need. Just someone to go, yes, just sit here, go, breathe. So he would definitely be my starting point, Joe. That's what I've got for now.
Okay,
Can I-
then, thank you.
Oh,
Do you want
Roger.
to speak, Joanne, or because Roger's got his hands up?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the emphasis on liberation, opportunity, vitality, and empowerment is something I think people resonate more to when I say, "Oh, have you heard of the Love Party or the Love Movement?" And they're a little bit. I kind of think we need more meat to it. Does that make sense? To emphasize that, it's just. I mean, to really, really make people see that's what we stand for. Does that make sense? Or kind of.
Probably choose your audience, really. The people who get stuff about vibration and energy are going to resonate with love very strongly. For quite a lot of the people who haven't really done much thinking, who are still sort of in a bit of a dozy state, they're going to prefer the words liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment. It's going to make a bit more. They're going to think of love as a bit too woo-woo, if you want. So probably pick it, but and it all comes under this umbrella of love, which is a powerful the most powerful energy, the most powerful force that we have. And I think the people who know about energy will definitely know about the experiments that have been done with this word, which is, even on a scientific level, the vibration of the word is incredible.
That's good, but I'm not very good at explaining sometimes. I think and I'm kind of thinking that is a really good one. What it stands for. I love sort of quoting the liberation, and it seems to be more impacting, and people that they're possibly.
And
so just to say, from a marketing point of view, what you do is grab attention, like a tabloid headline: Freddie Starr ate my hamster. And people lean forward and they're intrigued to read more. So vote love. It's a strong, because you don't expect in the political world, like if you've got a campaign poster saying vote love, you don't expect love to be in that world. And I think it's attention grabbing. So you grab the attention and then you explain and then draw people in to read more. That's the way marketing typically works. Anyway, let's come to
it's a real pattern interrupt, isn't it, in the political world? It's a real, you've done the fear, you've done, we're normally there ringing our hands and problems and corrupt politicians and everything, but here's love. We all understand that.
Yeah, and especially if you change your name to Love as a candidate, like we have.
I've put love after mine today. I just keep forgetting.
It's great. It's like wow, they believe in it so much they've even changed their name. Anyway, Roger, let's come to you.
Okay, well, I propose that we adopt Chris Coverdale's strategy in as an encouragement for people to join our movement. And his strategy is to use legislation to avoid paying tax of any kind. Just in a nutshell, basically, he's ascertained that our government is operating illegal wars, and by paying any tax at all, particularly council tax, which is the high profile one, people who are paying council tax are actually aiding and abetting terrorism. So I propose that we adopt his strategy officially.
Well, can I just respond on that? Personally, I don't feel that we should be dictating or adopting anything. I think that we are a kind of cauldron of opinion and people pick and choose what they wish. So we're offering, so at one end you might have William Keat with a common law approach, Chris Coverdale going through a legislation approach, because the whole point of common law is you're not consenting to the legislation. So immediately you've got a contradiction there. So I don't think that we personally, I don't feel that we should be saying this is it, this is what you should be doing. We are simply like a portal supporting all of these different people who are speaking out. And I don't feel it's for anyone to say this is right and that is wrong, because that's my humble opinion.
So you just said that we're supporting these people. Doesn't that really mean that we're actually encompassing the principles that they're exuding?
Well, then you've got a direct contradiction there between William Keat, for example, or someone like Dean, for example, or someone like Kelly Slade, for example, and Chris Coverdale. So immediately you've got a contradiction, and contradictions create conflict, and conflict creates war. So this is the challenge that we have, is like the minute we have a dogma. Lynn, over to you. You might be able to answer it better.
Oh no, I was enjoying what you were saying, actually. I just thought I'd put in there. Yes, I think giving people options is what we're about. We're all sovereigns, so we decide for ourselves whether we accept legislation and go down that route, or whether we go down the common law route. I mean, I agree with you 100%, Roger. We shouldn't be funding these foreign wars. And we're only doing it to keep ourselves comfortable in the end, aren't we? Most of us are paying tax just to keep ourselves out of, just to keep our heads below the parapet. And a lot of people are hanging in there, and paying tax is part of that, and we shouldn't. But I'm not going to dictate to anybody that they shouldn't do that. I don't think that's what we're about. What we're about is this is a war, a spiritual war, and part of the enemy is, is in the government. There are people in the government that are definitely the enemy in this spiritual war, or at least helping the enemy. And if people want to use legislation, that's fine. If they want to use the voting system, that's fine. If they want to use common law, that is fine. Any weapon in a war is sort of my view on this. So I'm, while I don't like legislation, and I'd rather we got rid of it and went back to being sovereign under the common law type approach, if we can use legislation to fight the war, then that's fine. That's fine with me.
So how can I express that in relation to Chris
just
Coverdale?
Options, just give people options, Roger. You can inform and then let them make the choice, but it's not really up to us to do anything more than more than that. I don't think.
Let me put it another way, and then I'll come to Jo just to see what her input is. But personally, I suspect that as we grow and we get traction and we get profile, there will be people wanting us to endorse their thing, their product, their channel, their ethos. And personally, I don't feel that that is what we should be doing. I feel that we should be sharing all sorts of relevant information, like on the meditation. Yeah, we could say, well, here's Joe Dispenza's thing, here's someone else's way of doing meditation, here's transcendental meditation, here's the Buddhist way of doing it. And then it's up to people to pick and choose what resonates with them. And we just basically are constantly sharing interesting content which is aligned to liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment, without being prescriptive. That's my sense. Jo, do you want to just add something?
No, I was just saying, with the council tax and taxes generally, there's some, I think we're going to extremes. I think there's got to be a way where, I know this sounds a bit naive, but if you write to the council and ask them to give any definitive answer of what every single penny goes, and also how there's all the system, some of it's good, some of it's rubbish, most of it's rubbish, but there are some good bits, and to throw everything out like the baby in the bathwater, I think that's just another angle. I think we need to be a bit more balanced in it. There are ways that we could pay less council, you need the bins sort of emptied. That it's very complicated, isn't it, life? I mean, the system we're in.
Well,
you-
did
some
they
of it-
deliberately make it so? And
Yes,
I've
they
had that
did.
conversation with the council. I've refused because they refused to collect my bins. I refused to pay. They said, no, it's what you pay is not in relation to services. You don't pay it in relation to services. So they break the link between paying council tax and any form of service. So you cannot say, well, I didn't receive this service, therefore I'm not paying X chunk.
I'll need to write. I'm going to write to them, and I'm going to ask them to give me every single reasons for the council tax, and I want them to give me a complete. But
A bigger thing would be to ask for the contract.
They say you can't do that because it's so vast. It'd be impossible to give every single person a contract in the whole.
Rubbish.
No, that's rubbish. That's rubbish.
That's their argument.
You see, this is another point apart from Rogers. Some people are just basically saying, where is my contract? I don't have any liability. Because if you think about it, as a landowner, I mean, for example, we co-own Crestbrook Dale.
Okay.
And when you own land and there's no council tax payable on or anything payable on that land, and think about it, why should there be? Because if you own land outright, you don't have, it's yours. You don't have to pay anyone anything. Actually, when you realize, like, oh my God, where did this come from? It's been implanted as this belief that oh my God, we have to pay the council this tax. Well, if you own land, why?
It's the building, isn't it? It's the building then saying that they'll do this for you and the water. I mean,
why?
Yeah.
This is the point. Why? If you own the building, you built the building. Maybe if you contract with someone to supply you with anything.
That's what I'm thinking. They're kind of, that's how it all began, probably. The sewers and the water, and they said, oh, you need to pay. Going back, I don't know how it all began. I'm going to write to them anyway, and I'm going to get their take on it, and I'll see what they say. Email. Yeah,
it's another one of the false matrix cons. I think it's fair to say.
It's huge, though, isn't it?
It's worth writing, Joe. It's worth doing this because actually there are people in councils and all over who are good people trying to do the right thing and haven't thought, and you will make them think. You will. There will be some people. There were some who will just do the job's worth stuff, like, oh, you've got to just pay it. And there are others who will just go, hang on a minute, this is actually, they will feel a bit uncomfortable and go, what on earth is happening? But Rachel, I'm absolutely fascinated that they said it was not for services. What the hell is it for?
Yeah.
Well, when I basically spoke to the woman at the payment desk and I said, I'm refusing to pay X percentage, because I'd looked up what the council spends on this, that and the other, and I said, I've worked out that 30% of this bill relates to refuse collection, and therefore I'm not paying 30% of it. This is quite some time ago, before I even knew about the common law thing. I was just on a basic principle. You're not collecting my rubbish, and therefore I'm not paying 30% of it, and I'm withholding it until you start collecting my bins. It was a simple conversation like that. And she was very adamant that the council tax does not relate to services, and you cannot refuse to pay it on that basis.
I think that's absolute bollocks. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So this is the point. So we start to unravel we start to open the Pandora's box of trickery.
I'm definitely going to email them, and I'll ask them. I'm going to ask them to give every detail of why and how I'll ask more questions, yes, because we really need to ask these questions.
As Chris Coverdale said in that thing that he was interviewed by Richard Vose, wasn't he? He basically said that the local government pay it to the government, and then the government then pay it back in some way. I don't know how that works.
He went to prison. You kind of think, oh, and I know someone was talking, said, well, I'm not sort of telling you to not pay, your tax, because they couldn't do that, but so many people have been in trouble. I mean, it needs a collective of people, but it's difficult to get everybody to say, wait a minute, we need to find out more. I believe in my personally, you don't just not pay it, you find out what you're paying for and why, and then of course they get them, like you say, it gets them thinking, oh, how are we going to answer this? And I think we've never gone into the depth of it, have we? This is the problem.
I do believe that
Oh.
because so many councils now are on the verge of bankruptcy, it must be the case that either people are refusing to pay or they are unable to pay. And therefore, the council has fixed their budgets on an estimate of X number of households, and here's the bills, and here's our revenue, and they've put their budgets of expenditure in accordance with that. And so they've got all their overhead for all of their contracts with Serco and all these people, and the money is not coming in. They're not able to collect on the money because either people won't pay or can't pay. And I think that's why so many councils now are on the verge of bankruptcy. And so it's very interesting. So I think a lot of people are either refusing to pay or just simply unable to pay because of this squeeze. So what happens then? Like when all these local councils, like Derbyshire Council is 40 million in the red apparently. Birmingham has declared itself virtually bankrupt, Birmingham City Council or whatever. So what happens then? Who bails them out?
It's definitely the corruption that's. I think obviously it was good intentions, like things are, aren't they? The way to hell is paved with them, isn't that the same? And it's good intentions. And at the beginning, if you go right back, I mean, it's good to dig back and see exactly how the whole thing began.
Yeah,
it's really difficult. But yeah, the corruption is so. My mum used to talk about rotten boroughs, so it's gone a long time, and it's got more and more corrupt, and we've just let it happen.
Absolutely. Roger, did you still have your hand up, or should we go to Lynn?
No, I want to hear what Roger's got to say.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
Yeah, you said that you own the land. Now, as far as I understand, all land is registered with the land registry.
Yeah.
Is this not the case with Crestbrook Dale?
Yeah, so we did look into this at the time because I had Dean on the case, and there isn't a certain amount of land in the UK that is not registered, it's unregistered land, but Crestbrook Dale was registered in the land registry. And so for us to acquire it, we had to appoint trustees at land registry. Now, my understanding of it, I don't know if it's possible to deregister land. In fact, I was told it isn't. That the only two other options are to have there's two other options, and basically you require your own army, a allodial title, I think it's called, where basically if you unhook from the system, you then have to have your own army and your own protection for that land. You cannot call on the protection of the king or queen. And that's why, because I've just had this thing with the police again and their oath. The police are not working for the local authority or the government. The police are under oath to the king to protect the people. And so if you have a problem with your land, you can call on the police to help you to defend your property, because property is one of the core rights under common law. And
according to the legal public law, they actually work for the law of the land. So that kind of follows what you were saying, the law of the land. So apparently,
yeah,
that would make sense. They don't work for the government. Absolutely no. It said that they don't. I mean, that's written down. That's absolute. So yeah. Little so-and-so.
Yeah. So the thing is, Roger, so I think the two are fee simple and allodial title. But both of them, you basically have to unhook from the protection of the king. Mm-hmm. And that, so you have to then have your own army, basically. Or your own law enforcement, which is actually quite a tempting thing.
Yeah.
So it does cover the crown owns every single part of the land in this country. Apparently, the crown technically that's
what I understand. I understand that also, Joe.
So annoying.
You see, the challenge we had, Roger, because obviously we were crowdfunding this, it would be very difficult in a sort of crowdfunding situation to invite people to be part of something which wasn't registered or didn't have any legal title. Do you get my drift? So we're in. It's like we're in between two worlds. So, like if you're going to do a crowdfunding and you're saying to people, hey, come on, everyone, let's acquire this property. And then you say, oh, we're not going to register it, and we're going to have to get our own army, and we're going to deregister from the king. And some people might go along with it, but a hell of a lot of people say, whoa, that sounds a little bit too so this is the challenge. We're in between two worlds. So it's having one foot in the old paradigm and one foot in the new. And so this is the challenge that we have, all of us, like us doing this political movement, which isn't political, as Lynn says, but it's like we've got one foot in the old world and we're one foot in the new. We're going into the system. You might say, well, we might say the electoral system is corrupt, but it's like we're going into it with the objective to break it, if you get my drift.
I understand what you're saying.
But also, remember that spirit, the spirit of love and all the rest of it, the spirit of people's democracy, I suppose, can ride corrupt systems. We've seen it with the financial system. It's a corrupt system. It's false and everything, but it can still carry the spirit of exchange, which is a very dynamic, very quick, creative energy. It still works in that people, it can still buy great things. It can still bring comfort to people. It can still pay the bills. It can still make new stuff. And even though the system might be corrupted, but the spirit can ride it. And like I've said before, with religion, for ages, the grassroots were very sincere, and they were still praying in the right way and still very sincerely hooking into the energy of source. So the fact that it was very corrupt at the top, which was dreadful, and all the rest of it, the energy was still holding society together. It was still doing that. It's one of the reasons I think religion was taken down at the grassroots. They kept publicizing or put priests in place that were very corrupted and paedophiles, and basically shocked people into abandoning their spiritual beliefs, because it was holding people in place. It was holding the communities in place, even though at the top they'd got all this, massive crime going on. And the same with the financial system. There's massive crime at the top, but people here are still very sincerely exchanging the currency, and so it still does the job. And the bust that they're expecting has not been happening, so they're creating more chaos and more pinching to try and break that now. Because I've spoke to bankers recently and saying, what would you invest in? They're like, well, not the stock market. It's still hot. We can't understand it. It's still, there's still a lot of energy there. It's still, this is not the time to be investing in stocks, for example, because people are still showing confidence in the economy. They're still buying it, and so this energy. Do you see what I mean? The energy is still there, even though at the top it's as corrupt as hell. Because at the grassroots, it's still we're still very sincerely still using it in the spirit that it was intended. So
maybe they are trying artificially supporting the stock market, because of course it's all BlackRock, Vanguard. And of course, and so if the stock market crashes, BlackRock, Vanguard crash completely. So maybe
they don't matter, though, do they? Really? I mean, aren't they just sort of umbrellas for the bankers who don't need the money? None of these people need the money. Okay, so you look at the banks now, for example, HSBC and all the rest of it. They don't actually need the money. They're part of the system for bringing in control now. They're not actually functioning as banks now, because their primary objective is no longer to make profit. They have all the profits they need. If their primary objective was to make profit, they would be lending money out left, right, and centre to secure to people who are employed, who are buying houses. They're not. They're tightening that. They're really bringing that over. And I tried to get pin the bankers down on this. Say, they would be making profit if they could, because and they were going, oh no, it's there's less risk in buying currency. And I was like, no, don't give me that, because we know that fractional reserve banking means that when you borrow a pound, they've actually created that money. Okay. Yeah. And they've done it for every pound that they've got stored in their vault, let's just get basic and physical and pretend that's what happens. For every pound they've got stored in the vault, if I've put a pound in there, they've lent that out 10 times.
Yeah.
They've actually created another 10 from it.
Well,
and
it's 20 because they
charged
only
interest.
need to hold 5%, so they can multiply it by 20. They can
Oh,
lend
okay,
out
gosh, it's even worse than I thought.
5%. They only need to hold 5% in cash reserves of what they lend out.
Oh,
So
it's
that-
massive.
yeah.
So basically what they do is they're creating all this money that's now theirs, that will get paid back to them. They'll get it back to them, this newly created money, and they charge interest on it. And they give the saver, who basically is doing this tiny bit of underwriting, they'll give them a tiny fraction of that, a tiny fraction of them lending it out once. So they, the saver gets what, 1-2%, something like that on £1. They've lent it out 10 times doing that and charged about 5%.
Yes.
The profits are just massive. Of course they would be doing it if it was about the money. They would absolutely be lending it out. They're not. So they're about the control. So what we've got these people now in place, the JP Morgans and those who shall not be named, let's say, who are now, they don't need the money. They know the money's worthless anyway. It's all about the control, and all the systems are about control. So
And there's not enough money in the system to repay all of the debt of all of the loans. This is what the guy with the white hat who does Inspired, what's his name? The guy with the white cowboy hat who does those Inspired talks. He was talking about this.
Jean somebody, yeah.
They're basically they're lending this money and are expecting interest. There can never be enough money to pay it all back.
No, we know it's all a fiction. We know that this, as soon as people stop believing, the house of cards comes tumbling down.
It's based on trust and confidence. That's what it's based
what
on.
I'm saying is that the JP Morgans, it's not going to matter to them, actually. I think they're probably ready to collapse the system anyway. They've already have the land, the facilities, the energy, everything they need for their comfort and survival, and everything they need to exchange with other people for their services, they have in abundance. So they don't actually need, I don't think they actually need any of this anymore.
But it is based on trust and confidence, the whole banking system.
Yeah, it's based on illusion. It's absolutely based on illusion.
Trust and confidence. If there's no trust and confidence, then so they have to keep that going.
Roger, you've got your hand up. Is that a fresh hand or an old hand?
Fresh.
Fresh hand. Okay, over to you, Roger.
Okay. When I was in Oxford, I became friendly with a Nepalese man, and he promised, after I explained what our purposes were and what we stood for, he agreed to support the Love movement. And that includes communicating our aims and objectives with all the Gurkhas, who of course now are very old, some of them even older than I am, but they have young families. So he's pledged his support with a handshake to support the Love movement, and asked me to find somebody to present as a candidate for the Oxford area as an MP. And with that in mind, I talked to a man called Michael Just. That's a good name, isn't it? Michael Just. And he said that he knew a lady who would like to run for Parliament. She didn't know anything about the Love movement, but he said that he would explain. And I said, well, she'll have the support of the Nepalese, which includes the Gurkhas and their families. So I hope that was okay.
Lovely. Well done, Roger.
I heard your talk with Julie, at the Gurkha.
Yeah, I've already said this. I said, but not everybody was on that interview, and so I thought I'd say it again.
Can I just say something here about this Love movement? If you look back to the 1960s and you think of the Love movement, there was a Love movement in the 1960s, and basically it consisted of all the people who were starting to stand up and question, like the Vietnam War, and who were starting to experiment with mind-altering substances, and who were starting to do meditation and getting into transcendental meditation, and all of these different things were happening in the 1960s, and they weren't really like one body coordinating it. It was just a wave of energy. It was a wave of uprising in response to this oppressive beast of a military industrial complex, really, that everyone had had enough of. So there was no one person really saying, I'm the leader. It was multiple. It was like bands like the Beatles, and it was all sorts of people doing all sorts of things, and it just formed this wave of energy. And I feel that like we are part of that wave. It's not like everyone has to be signed up on our database. That's not it at all. We are part of this collective zeitgeist. We're capturing the essence of the zeitgeist of the times, which is why I keep championing Marianne Williamson, much as she's controversial, because despite put aside all the other stuff, what she comes out with is very aligned to what we are talking about. This and the people, just even the picture I posted of the Jews this morning saying free Palestine, like this, the people want peace. The people have had enough of this bullshit, and it's happening globally now, this uprising, this awakening of consciousness, and we're part of it. We're capturing the zeitgeist of this wave of love, which is essentially humanity and heart-based living in tune with nature and co-creating, collaborating, and not fighting and killing one another, basically. So we're capturing the essence of a wave of energy. That's what's sweeping through. So this desire to control it or dictate or endorse it's not quite, to me, that's a bit like part of the old paradigm, like needing an endorsement.
What happened, do you think, they got all bribed to go back into the commercial system? They all went, it seems we kind of,
I think what happened is the Beatles split up, and then that was the end of it.
I think what we're saying is, Roger, that I think we're about supporting each other, aren't we? About supporting those who are trying to build from the bottom up and pattern interrupt at the top, bring the top down, if you like. They don't need any permission, they don't need anything like that, but just make it clear. If we like, if you think this is a good person, that this is somebody who we would really like to get behind, just make our support known. I would say, rather than it be any sort of, oh, you're good enough, you're not good enough. I'm not going to be judging anyone on that sort of thing. That's definitely not my role in life. But I will happily support people I resonate with, come out and help leaflet or, donate or something. We will definitely get behind them on that sort of thing.
Can I just say, it's been 50 years, obviously, since the 1970 began, and everything kind of went back to commerce or whatever. So we've been 50 years, we've been in this sort of whatever, and then now it's rising again.
So things move in 60-year cycles. So in terms of the Bazi, we're coming, like, for example, this year is equivalent of 1963, the Water Rabbit year, and next year is the equivalent of 1964, the year I was born, the Wood Dragon year. So it's like we're reliving energetically, we're reliving the 1960s, and we're in kind of 1963, 1964. So it's only going to get more powerful and intense this time. But the difference this time is that a lot of the people who are leading this, the elders, people like me, for example, were born in the 60s, and there was a Uranus-Pluto conjunction. And so we are the seeds which were activated in 2012. And when the Pluto and Uranus reached their first aspect, which was the square, and that's what activated all of those born between 1962 and 1968, where those two planets were moving together through Virgo.
Wow.
And I have Mars conjunct that conjunction, so I have a stellium in it. And an astrologer once said to me, "You are the architects of the new paradigm." But we all went into the corporate world and the business world and whatnot. We had to go deep in there to see how it worked and to experience it. And then we were woken up and we left it. So we experienced the beast and we went deep into the labyrinth, and then we're like, fuck, or we were either like lost, taken out, or left. And like, there has to be a better way. And so, but we know how the matrix works. And that's how we can unscrew it from the inside, because we can collapse it energetically and in the 3D realm just through standing up and through resonance, truth, vibration, joy, laughter, love. These are all things which we can. The false matrix requires fear, dissonance, chaos, anger. You know, it needs that to grip, and that's how we're going to collapse it. And
it's not they're not working at the minute. The false matrix is not working as they want it to work. They are
collapsing.
Like I was saying with the bank, they're going, why are the shares not crumbling? Basically, there should have been an economic collapse by now for everything that they've done. We're not. People are just ignoring it. The people should be iller than they expect, and they're not. People should be more worried and fearful. They're desperately trying to get another wave of fear about COVID. Most people are just going, oh, fuck off. You know, they're not buying it.
They're weakening because they've overplayed their hand.
And now they're panicking, and they keep throwing it out at you. You know, go and get your flu jab, go and do this. People are getting, oh, for God's sake, these bloody things coming through. People are ignoring it. So they are losing that. Well, I think that they've completely lost it. They've completely lost their grip. Yes, they're still in charge. Yes, there's still a momentum that we're having to ride, and it's annoying and disruptive, and we just want to get them out and get on with their lives. But it's just a momentum that's got to play out now, that we have to let them come down. But they know they've lost, and they're desperate, and they're on every level. There are people who are now standing up to them, and you know, even in schools, people who haven't taken their kids out to home ed like I did, they're in there. They're effectively now infiltrators, saying, you can't run the school like this. You're not bringing that agenda in. You're not doing that. You know, I'm going to stand as governor, and you're not doing that. And it's
interrupting
all the way, and it's happening all over at every level. There's little, and what would be nice to do is just lend support to anyone we see who we know who is pattern interrupting, who is living it. Some of them are right at the coalface here. Just
plastic, though, aren't there? There's a lot. Sorry, there is a lot of sickness around, though, isn't there? There is a lot of people. I mean, the job they did the job. A lot of them wanted to do. Do you not think? I mean, a lot of people.
That's what's woken. Those people, unfortunately, did help to wake up so many people. They were the unfortunate casualties that like had to die to wake their family up. That was the one thing that did it. I'm just conscious of time. Roger, is that a fresh hand?
Yeah, it's only a quick question. Do we, as a movement, have a colour? For example, we've got blue of the Conservatives, red for the Labour, and yellow for Lib Dems.
Yes, it's pink and green on white. Roger, where have you been for the last?
Have you seen the logo?
I didn't know either. I should. Yeah, of course it is.
The logo is pink and green. Basically, it's the heart chakra, which is pink and green, and it's the lotus, which is the jewel in the heart of the lotus. Om Mani Padme Hum is the kind of like.
And I've got pink. Well, I didn't. It isn't pink, but it looks pink on here.
Yeah, well, I'm not conversant with colours. That's why I'm not up to speed, because I'm colourblind.
I could see that from your poster, but I didn't want to say anything.
No, well, you can say what you like. I mean, if it's the truth.
But yellow's a good colour because it's part of the freedom movement. But although it is a bit Lib Dem, isn't it? But from a political point of view, we are pink and green. Okay. That's certainly what I will be using on my Vote Love collateral for everything I do. because our green is not Green Party green. Our green is lime. It's like a limey green, and our pink is like a sort of pastel-y pink. Not like, I think someone else has got pink. I can't quite think who.
Freedom Alliance has pink.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it is very much heart chakra, pink and green, which is what you see in San Pedro. You actually see those colors around the leaves. You see a pink aura, which is the healing aura of nature. You see it very clearly, and that's why the heart chakra is pink and green, because it's very healing. So those
Yeah,
are colors.
I can't recognize colours, so you know, it
Well,
doesn't mean
any colours, Roger? Can you not see any colours? I mean, just black and
Can you
white.
not see red? You often see red, don't you, Roger?
it depends how far away it is. If a colour is close, I can often see it.
Oh,
Okay.
that must be long COVID, I reckon.
Climate change. I blame
Yeah.
climate change.
Or the clock's going back or forward.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, are we complete?
We
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for coming on. Are we happy to share this
Yes, I'm happy. Yeah.
publicly?
Yeah.
I think it is not quite nice to share these combos, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff covered today.
Okay.
Yes, happy?
Yes, happy.
Raise your hands if you're happy. Roger, you happy?
Right.
Good. So we get consent from everyone. That's very important that we have consent to share this content. So I will share this on the Vote Love channel, YouTube, and it's linked to Odyssey now. So it's
Oh, really? Oh.
yeah, it automatically backs up to Odyssey as
I'd rather be on Odyssey than YouTube, because I think there's, YouTube's a bit, so many different
well.
people.
It's the
That's
best of
like
both
90.
worlds, because you upload to YouTube and it automatically goes to Odyssey. So even if YouTube take it down, it still remains on
Yeah.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
So but we're on both platforms. Okay, lots of love. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
on.
very much.
And our
Thanks,
next
Rachel. Thanks
session,
for hosting. I know.
our next session will be, I think,
Friday.
next Friday at 1 p.m. Although I'll be in Las Vegas, so you may need to, unless I can get on. I think no, it's going to be the middle of the night, so I think you're going to have to do it, Lynn, or
Okay.
Julie from her Zoom, if that's okay.
That's fine. I've got a professional Zoom, so Zoom Pro.
Okay, good.
I might
Lots
not
of
make
love
it.
then.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
for now.
Bye. Bye.